The following podcast is taken from a live broadcast on Inspire FM.
Assalamu alaikum everyone, and you're listening to Sisters Speak on Inspire 105.1 FM, and you're here with me, Faiza.
Me, Mariam.
And me, Lamisa.
And today we're going to be discussing the topic of bullying. But before we get into that, Mariam, do you want to tell everyone what our show's about?
So our show is a platform for Muslim girls to voice their own opinions on current events and issues, and even form discussions on general topics such as religion, culture, politics and social media. We want to note that all opinions and views are our own, and we respect all other opposing views.
Thank you for that. So before we get into everything, we do this little segment on our show called The Thought for the Week. And this is just something we want to share, something we've learned, just a little reminder to ourselves first and foremost, and something that we think might be beneficial to others, or it could just be a rant if someone wants to rant. Just a little thought for the week. So yeah, who would like to go first?
Go on, Lamisa.
Oh, okay.
I feel like I always get picked on with these things.
Go for it.
Right, my thought for the week. Something that I've been thinking about for quite a while is the pursuit of happiness. I feel like life very much revolves around, I don't know, a lot of people search for happiness or always want to be happy. But I think we all know that that's kind of impossible, because there are times when things happen where you just can't be happy. So I was reading this thing, I can't remember who said it, but basically they think that it's more important to root yourself in meaningful things and pursue things with meaning instead of just pursuing happiness. Because if you pursue things with happiness, when the happiness is gone, you're left with nothing. But if you pursue something with meaning and something that has responsibility, I don't know, let's say we're pursuing a certain cause or a certain way of life, something like that, then, you know, your way of living will be a lot less stressful, I guess is what it is. So I was thinking about that, and I was like, that's quite an interesting way to look at the dynamic of happiness. So I was thinking maybe I should start living in that type of way instead of being so emotional. Yeah.
The pursuit for happiness.
Yeah, because happiness is something so temporary.
Yeah.
It's so temporary. I can have a chocolate bar, I'm happy when I'm eating it, and then it's gone. It's such a short term.
And isn't it so sad once it's gone?
I guess you can buy another one.
Yeah.
But again, it's temporary. And actually, I was watching a talk quite some time ago about how there's different stages. So people, pursuit of happiness is actually the lowest thing that you can strive for. And then it's people strive for wealth. Then they strive for status. Then there's different stages. And above all, the top thing that you can strive for is a positive impact, which is a product of being meaningful. So when you strive for positive impact, it makes you more grateful, which therefore is going to create happiness. Yeah. In terms of religion, when you serve Allah's people, then Allah serves you. So he creates opportunities for you, because you're becoming a means to feed someone else, or you're becoming a means to help someone else. Yeah. So you get that resources. You get wealth, because obviously Allah's blessing you with that resources. People respect you, and you're not striving for respect, but you'll get respect because people,
as a result of your action.
As a result of your action. So it's really interesting how, you know, people, they want to just go for the most materialistic and most emptying things that doesn't actually materialize or something that will fulfill you. Yeah. Whereas the most greatest thing that you can strive for is to give positive impact.
Yeah, definitely. Wow. You guys are like, you know, and then there's me. Here I am again with another rant. No, I'm joking.
Is it the trains?
Let's just not.
45-minute walk.
Do you know what? Okay. I respect all the commuters out there, okay? Through all the weathers and the travel that they have to go through, because honestly, it's absolutely appalling. But yeah, you know, we have to power through it.
Yeah.
Aside from that, I think my main thought for the week is, I don't know, just having that appreciation for people in your life. You know, people who support you, people who are genuinely there for you.
Definitely.
They're supporting you, always pushing for your happiness, you know, just wanting the best for you, and who are always there for you in your time of need.
Yeah.
Like, I honestly really appreciate all those people, as well as you two, you know, sat here. We appreciate you. All right, okay.
We appreciate you as well.
We appreciate you as well.
But, you know, just appreciating everyone in your life, and let it be known to them as well that you appreciate them, you know. Sometimes it just goes a little unnoticed, but I think it's important to appreciate these people in your lives. You know, we don't know what can happen. One day you're here, one day you're not, you know. Never know.
I think a very like simple example is our parents as well.
Yeah.
Like very easily, these people who are so important to our lives and helping us get to where we are, very like we could have been very easily born without them at the same time. People
definitely.
live very different lives to us, and it's because of the people that are around them. So I think we often forget, you know, how to appreciate those that are around us.
It's the people that are really integral of your life that you forget.
Yeah.
It's like the foundation of a building. You don't appreciate the foundation until it collapses. So I think it's really important to give that significance and appreciate them and value them.
100%. So, moving on. Now, before we get into our main topic, we are going to be discussing a little hot topic. And remember, all those who are listening and are, you know, listening to us, watching us, whatever, please do get involved in our discussion today. How can they do that, Lamisa?
You can text or WhatsApp in on 07779481822, or you could call in if you want, 01582481822. You can also comment underneath our Facebook live stream. We are live. So
let us know your thoughts if you want to join our discussion as well. We're going to be discussing bullying as our main topic, and right now, as a little hot mini topic, Inspire FM are doing the theme of the hereafter this week. So we're going to be just having a little discussion on the hereafter. So, what is the hereafter? Well, if you see their faces, everyone, if you see these two girls right in front of me right now, wow. It's like cringe facepalm. Wow. No?
It's the life after death.
That's what I was going to say.
And the journey after you life after death, the journey of the soul as well. I think for me personally, I want to come at this in the aspect of everything that we do here, big and small, is huge in the afterlife. Sorry, it's like a bug. Okay, never mind. It's huge in the afterworld, and I feel like we seem to we don't realise how big certain things are when we're doing certain actions, if that makes sense. So you might think your a small action is not that big of a deal. You know, you just kind of push it aside, but in reality that's not how it is, and you need to be aware of, you know, everything you say, everything you do, every action that you're doing, whether you have the good intention or the bad intention, you are going to be held accountable for it in the hereafter. And I think sometimes we fail to realize that this small thing that I'm going to do, for example, like just to kind of, as an example, I don't know, what's a good example?
Small thing.
Yeah, just a small thing.
Maybe opening the doors for people when you're you're at work, or just a polite gesture.
A polite gesture that could go a long way, you know, in reality. And then in the hereafter, like it's a major thing. Like, oh my God, like, you know,
even picking litter up.
Yeah,
that's such a big thing.
And even if you do a bad small thing as well, and you might think, you know, it's not that big of a deal, I'll repent later, you know, but then you do it again, or etc. etc. It's a big deal in the hereafter. You know, you might on social media, it's so quick and easy for us to join in on like, you know, what is it?
Backbiting.
Yeah. So like fighting with people, bullying, making fun out of people,
or even if posting a nasty comment or something,
even liking a post that isn't, you know,
it's not appropriate, or it's not nice. And you might think at that point in time that, you know, it doesn't matter, this is how I feel, or it was in the moment, but in reality that's not how it should be, you know. Look at what's being said, look at what you're saying, be careful in the words that you are choosing, you know. If you don't have anything nice to say, don't say it at all. Keep those thoughts to yourself. Like, why do you need to go and spread such awful things, you know? But that was just an example. But the main point here is, big or small, remember you're going to be held accountable for everything you do. And this is a lesson for me first and foremost, and to all those as well listening. Just remember that, you know, actions have consequences.
I feel like on social media we lack that consciousness.
Yeah.
Because it's so easy to swipe and write things. We wouldn't say certain things in real life, but we would say it on social media, or we wouldn't engage ourselves in certain things in real life, but we would do it on social media. And I think
Very true.
it's a different persona, it's a different reality. It's a virtual reality, but you have to realize as Muslims, all our actions are accountable, and I think we need to become more conscious in knowing that these things will add up.
I feel like that's where the faith comes from, you know? If you have that faith in Allah and you have that faith in yourself, you will be happy and content with everything that's come to you, everything that's given to you. You will be respectful in how you carry yourself. You will be respectful in what you say, and you will be grateful for every single thing that you receive and that you give in this world, you know? And I feel like at some stage in your life, you will come to that, you know? It might not be right now, but if you make the changes and the steps towards that direction, you will reach that, and you know, your journey in the hereafter will be an easy one.
There was this saying that somebody, like, they had a graduation, and I can't remember exactly what he said, but what I understood was that his main thing that he came out of university, what he felt is that be rightful. It's a phrase that he said, be rightful, and it's something that really hit me, because if you just think in every interaction you have or every action that you do, be rightful to God, be rightful to the people around you, be rightful to the things that are around you, treat it with respect. It's such a profound way to kind of live your life, because you're giving rights to Allah, which means there's a certain way you should act. There's a certain expectation on you, and there's also expectation to treat yourself in a just way as well.
Yeah, definitely.
I think that's something that I try to live by. Even the smallest thing, like trying to earn halal earning. You know, it's so easy. For example, even I do this as well. When you're at work and you spend more time looking at your phone or doing things that you could have been doing, the tasks that you were set.
Yeah.
Just because your line manager's not looking or no one's looking, Allah's watching you. And I think it's a massive reminder for me. It's knowing that you're a Muslim and you need to be God conscious, because just because no one's saying anything to you, that was your amana. You signed a contract and you're supposed to do the things that are asked of you.
Yeah.
So, and that, in that sense, being grateful comes into play as well, because you're being grateful to the person that you signed your contract to the institution you're working for, or even if you're a student, you know, you're respecting the knowledge that you're getting, or you're respecting the teacher, or you're respecting your peers. You know, I think that's such a good way to kind of evaluate the way you behave with someone, or behave with yourself, or behave in general.
Definitely.
I think it sort of boils down to the fact that as Muslims, you know, even every small action that we're doing should be a way in which we worship God, because we believe that He's there, and we have this taqwa, this God consciousness that you said all the time. It shouldn't just be, you know, when we're praying to God, or when we're doing our salah, or when we're fasting, these types of things. It's more so that every small action, every interaction that I have, even with you guys, when I'm talking to people, like you said, when I'm doing my work, which is a very good example, all of that stuff should be my way of worshipping God, should be my way of making a good impact in this world. And these are the things that are going to affect us in the hereafter. And I think that stance is very important. The fact that the hereafter, if you're Muslim, you believe in the hereafter, and everything that you do in this life will impact it. And that's the link I think some people perhaps maybe forget about, and it's very easy to forget.
But I think that the beauty of that is when everything can be a form of worship, how easy is that you can intend, for example, you're going to work, you intend that you're going to do halal earning. Every step the way you take, because you're going to provide for your family, or you're going to help your parents. You know, that's the beauty of having every single action being accounted for. You know, it's not pressure, it's a way for you to, you know, gain Jannah. You know, Allah doesn't say to choose this world over the akhirah. He says use this world as a tool in order to gain Jannah. And it's the small things that can lead you to Jannah.
It's so easy in that way.
It's so easy, because that's what I think is the beauty of Islam, that it's so individual, practical. And practical. The way my background, my family dynamics, the way I was brought up, it'll be different to you and different to you.
Yeah.
But we all have the same destination, but Allah has individualized religion in a way that your lifestyle, my lifestyle, and everyone's lifestyle can be applied to this philosophy.
Definitely. It's pretty like crazy when you think about it, but you know, it's hard to always be in constant remembrance that, you know, this hereafter. You know, you kind of plan your life around this world, and it's so easy to forget. Of course it is, but that's where, you know, that faith comes in. That's where those prayers come in. That's where visiting the sick, helping the poor, and visiting the graveyard as well. It's literally reality checks. These are reminders. These are things that we should be doing as Muslims. And, you know, thinking about what we say, the smallest mistakes, you know, just start small, work your way up, you know. It's easy.
I think it's really important to reflect what kind of person you are. I think it's so easy to overlook the flaws that you have, and you know, it could be such a small thing about you, like we're talking about the weight of small things. It could be such a small, maybe you're impatient in a queue or something and you don't realize, and you're rude to someone. You could be patronizing and it sounds okay, but the way the other person receives it might be rude. So you'll forget that interaction, but that person will remember.
But that's where it's like,
that's why it's so important to be God conscious, because you never want to harm anyone, or you want to treat everyone in the right way.
And it's like putting yourself in the other person's shoes. If you were on the receiving end,
how would you feel?
Yeah, exactly. Like, think about it. You know, you're angry, and like, it's so easy, you know, to get frustrated, impatient, etc. But in that moment, before you're going to say something or do so and so, just think about, if you were in that person's receiving end, how would they feel to be on the other end of that? You know, the same goes for like the social media stuff. So easy to get inside and so easy to add to the fire. But what about the person who's receiving this? How do they feel?
And that's the thing with, like, I'd say, like, bad things. You may think it's not that deep, and you'll put in your like 2 cents once, but the amount of it just becomes easier and easier. If you cross that boundary and you say, I'm just going to do it this once, like I'm talking about any, let's say, sin or any bad thing, like it's just this once and then I'll repent afterwards, that type of thing. The more and more you do it, the more normalized it becomes to you, and that's why it's a really dangerous and slippery slope. I think that's where we kind of go wrong, in the sense that we think it's a small thing, but those small bad deeds can accumulate and turn you into a person that will eventually do perhaps maybe bigger bad deeds, like you don't know. But in the same way that it's easy to build bad habits, it's also as easy to make good habits once you start doing them. So just like how you said, if we refrain ourselves from doing these things, like just bite your tongue, hold on to whatever bad thing you were going to say, or whatever sharp comment you were going to, like, even in real life, I feel like it happens, not just online. Like, say if someone's annoying you in a conversation, you might say something like an indirect jab or something like that, but you don't have to say that.
That's true.
I feel like you should know your triggers. So if you know certain things push your buttons, and you see some things evolving and it's going to start argument, walk away from it. Because if you have that self-consciousness, and you know these are things that really frustrate me and I'm going to become angry, then you exit the situation.
100%.
But at the same time, you know, Islam is practical, because some people do feel angry or react more quickly than others, but Islam teaches you, you know, once you do realize that you made a mistake, you go back to it and you rectify it, and you seek apology.
Definitely.
And that still, like, you know, puts water to the fire. So, you know, it's not addressing, it's not saying that, you know, you got to have a halo on top of your head and you have to be perfect. It's not saying that. It's saying to be conscious, and, you know, you will make mistakes, but it's about how to improve from those mistakes, and it's all about that journey. And again, like you said at the beginning of the show, you know, if you want to go to paradise, it's hard. It's not going to be easy. It's going to be challenge after challenge, and it's about personal development and becoming close to God through these obstacles.
No, I agree 100%. I think in all, like the overall, it is just, you know, be wary of what you're doing, be wary of what you're saying, because I feel like it's so easy to have that slip of the tongue when you get kind of passionate or like involved in something. Just be wary, and, you know, remember that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he's watching, he's all knowing, he sees everything. And, you know, you might kind of brush it over your head, but, you know, be careful about what you're doing and what you're saying. You know, I think it's just trying to be a good person, just live your life, you know,
But like a genuinely good person, not just a person who does good deeds and things like that, but a person like from the inside who actually
that
wants the good of others.
Inner goodness.
Yeah.
To like just come out and be nice and happy
without no agenda or purpose. Or
yeah.
I think also it's, you know, again, I go back to the point of that you should be self-aware. I think having good company also has a play to this, because say if you have friends that are also conscious, so if you say if you have an issue with swearing, let's just say, and saying things that are inappropriate, if you have good friends and good company and they also have the same intention in improving themselves, they will tell you the reality that, you know, you need to hold your tongue back, or they will help you to kind of mitigate that problem. And I think that because, you know, we're social beings, we're social creatures, we spend so much time with people, it's so important to make sure we select our support network outside our family in a positive way, because they impact us the most, and the way in which they behave and in the way in which they think will influence you. And I don't agree with people who say that I don't do certain things, they do it, but I'd never do it. No, I don't agree with that, because end of the day, you're watching someone do something again and again and again, and you're not doing anything about it. You're going to become desensitized, and it's going to be normalized for you. So again, that thought, that whisper can come in your head, I'm just going to do it once, it's okay. And there's no way you can make a barrier towards that, because it's your company. And why is the hadith saying that if you go to a coal mine, you don't touch something, you come out with dust? It's because that's how much of an impact people have on you. And if you go to a perfume shop, you don't touch anything, you come out smelling as perfume. We need, these allegories were given to us, and it's so applicable, and I think we should adopt them and realize that it's not something mythical or something that can't be applied to today. It's actually more relevant than ever, because you're becoming more involved with not people only in reality, but also in social media. So again, those people are also impacting you, the people that you follow online, the way they speak. You're giving your time with them, and you're almost having that interaction without having an interaction. So I think it's really important to kind of be conscious in that sense.
And I think what you were saying about if other people are doing it but I'm not doing it, but you allowing them to do it is another, in my eyes, is another bad deed in itself, in the sense that you're allowing a bad thing to take place, whatever it may be. If you're witnessing something happening, you should try at the very least to do something about it. And if you can't, or if you're in a situation where you can't, take yourself out of the situation. Don't involve yourself in people.
But what would you argue when people say they're good people but they just do certain things? Then what? Because to me, it's like you're accepting.
That's a common thing.
You're accepting
they're doing
accepting
wrong.
Accepting that they're doing.
But then
this.
maybe advise
it's a small
that person. Then advise that person who's saying, "Oh, they." I don't do it, but they do it. But like advise that person and say to them, but look, if, for example, I feel like sometimes the best examples are when you hit home, as in like, for example, God forbid, if your child did so and so, your sister did so and so, you'd go and say something to them.
And you'd say, this is not
speak to them,
okay,
you'd advise them, you'd tell them right from wrong, the same way that person should be advised. Obviously. Then again, it's how you speak to them. Remember, you have to come on that level of understanding as well. You've done your duty as a Muslim, and inshallah they'll be guided.
It's coming back to the point where you could do small things that are wrong, but it's because it's deemed as small or insignificant. Then it becomes normalized. They're good with you. They're polite. But they might just do one small thing or two small things. But at the end of the day, it's acceptable for them. And then you need to kind of reflect, what are your morals and values, and where do you draw the line, and where's your barriers? Because if you think the company that you have, it's acceptable for them, and I would say it is acceptable to you if you continue to be in their company and you don't advise them. Like you can't just say, I try to help them, they don't listen. But then, at the end of the day, what are you gaining in that company if they're doing something wrong?
No,
I think
true.
I think it's quite a difficult thing, because it happens with a lot of us. We have such good friends, and they might be amazing in all these other aspects, but then they're doing small deeds that are wrong, and we try to help them and try to support them, but they reject it. you know, we're not bad people for moving away from that. We took the onus on ourselves, and we've asked and we suggested to them, you know, this is the guidance.
Yeah.
But there's nothing wrong with us moving away, because end of the day, that we know that's going to impact us.
Yeah, 100%. I think overall, when looking at the hereafter, it's very important to reflect on what you've been doing in this life, because remember, you could leave here any minute, any second,
Very true.
any day, and you never know when as well. So I feel like if you have that mentality, you know, you're remembering the hereafter, I feel like your actions and your words and everything you do in this life will kind of align, if that makes sense.
Because this is temporary and the other one is permanent in that sense. So
and like nothing's here for you in terms of that sense. Like, you know, it is temporary, like you just said. That's why, like, what is here for you to be so like
attached to?
Yeah. But anyways, when we come back, we'll be discussing our main topic of bullying. So please do join us in a couple of minutes. Assalamu alaikum.
You're listening to an Inspire FM podcast, making available our popular programs from our daily broadcast on Inspire FM.
Assalamu alaikum everyone, and you're listening to Sisters Speak on Inspire 105.1 FM, and we are back now after the break, and we were just discussing our hot topic of the hereafter in line with Inspire FM's theme
for this week.
So now we'll move on to our main topic this week, and this is bullying. And this has come to light because of, I'm not sure if everyone's heard about it, or if you haven't, or you have, but it's about the young girl Shukri Abdi. So we're going to be speaking about bullying overall, but we're just going to go through about what happened to this little girl.
Yeah, so Shukri Abdi, she was a 12-year-old girl. She died after being seen in the River Owl. Sorry. She died after being seen in the River Owl in Bury, which is Greater Manchester. This happened at the end of June. So basically, it's being currently, so this is from BBC News. This is a report done by BBC News. And right now, the Greater Manchester Police are treating Shukri's death as a tragic incident, and they don't believe that there are any suspicious circumstances. But there has been a lot of talk on social media in general, saying that perhaps this was to do with bullying in that sense. And I guess it's shifted the discussion more so to shed light on the issue of bullying in general.
Because the bullying in the bullying in schools, especially, and what's been going on, like it's awful what happened to that young girl. Obviously in general as well, anyone who is a victim of bullying. Oh my god, my voice is like finished.
It's okay, we're getting a bit emotional.
Sorry girls. No. Right. Anyways, all the victims of bullying, like, it's awful being on that end, and you know, unfortunately some do pass away, you know, mental health comes into it, suicide comes into it. There's so many different cases, many different circumstances, but it's so unfortunate that it's still happening in society today as well,
going unnoticed.
I feel like it's like what we were discussing before the break, is you don't know how much your words can impact a person. You know, you can say a comment to someone and that can replay in their head over and over and over again, and you might think it's a joke. I think we need to be more conscious of our jokes
and like because what you might find funny is not what someone else might find funny. They might be hurt, like they might be hurt from what you've said. They will take offense to what you said, but you will not know that. You will think it's a joke, and you just be like, oh, like that, my intention was a joke. But
because everyone's mindset isn't the same, but it's
different.
It's not about your intention or your mindset in the sense when you said it, because that's not the problem here. The problem is someone else. The victim, the person who's been at the other end of your abuse. That's the way they took it and the way they received it is what's important, because you can very easily dish out like nasty comments and things like that, but it's the effect that it's having on the other person.
So what is bullying?
I feel like I don't know that if there's an exact definition, but I feel bullying is when you're constantly or not even constantly, when you're undermining someone to the point where they feel threatened in any shape or form, whether that's through verbal speech or physically. They feel unsafe.
Lamisa?
Yeah, I agree in the sense that bullying in general is a lot to do with, you know, you're just intending to hurt another individual.
Yeah.
I think that's
But actually,
and harming them, intimidating them,
I
making
think that
them
is bullying.
feel
inferior.
I think that's the difference between bullying and like because that's with intention, you know. That's what that definition is saying. So it's a bit of a blurred line in the sense that does intention really matter? Because if you're intending to hurt someone, that's definitely 100 times worse than I think unintentionally hurting someone
definitely.
by accident. So I think that maybe there is a line in that sense that bullying
is bullying intentional?
Constantly, I think. So if you're doing something to someone constantly, there's a hint of intention behind there, no? Or else how would you constantly on repeated occasions?
There's intention. Like it's intentional, seeking to harm someone, trying to hurt them, make them feel awful. Like it's.
So I think maybe in the sense that if you unintentionally hurt someone and you know that you've hurt them, that's the point where you should go and apologise. But I don't think at that point it's bullying. I think bullying is that constant where it's the repeated aspect of it.
And I think if
not that the other one is
acceptable.
Not,
I think
both are
unacceptable.
not acceptable.
But I feel that if you have given a comment and that someone is hurt, and they tell you that I feel offended. It's your reaction that will be able to dictate whether you know what your intentions were. Because if you become defensive, then you actually haven't taken any responsibility of what you said
and the effect that it's caused.
That it's caused. So you don't see it as wrong, even though someone clearly has said to you that this has hurt me. You know, you can just say, "Oh, you're overthinking something," or you know, it was just a joke. But if someone has, you know, it's a brave thing. It takes courage to, you know, communicate that, you know, you made me feel bad. I feel like these days, you know, there's some sort of superior complex where you can't communicate. You know, if, for example, Lamisa said something hurtful to me, and I don't have the courage to say it to you because, you know, you might laugh or people will say, oh, look at her, she's so sensitive, she's oversensitive. It's so easy to categorize these people, but actually I would say, you know, the people that communicate that are emotionally intelligent and the people that spew these hateful comments or undermining comments, they lack empathy and they lack emotional intelligence, and that's why they don't understand the value of
or they're just insecure and they're jealous.
Okay,
I feel like
that's another way to say it.
In some circumstances, that's what it is.
Or they think they're superior in some shape or form. And, you know, they might think I'm older than you, so I know better. Well, you know, it's not about age, it's about experience, and you know, people have different experiences, and you know, it's not to say that a person that is, you know, 20 years old is, you know, less wise than a 25-year-old. A 20-year-old could face, you know, things that could catalyze their wisdom way more than a 25-year-old. They could have been in a bubble. You know, so I feel like we should take a step back, and again, I think that relays back to the beginning of our show that we need to be more conscious people.
100%.
And I feel that a religion, you know, before we were given a set of instructions of what to do, what's halal, what's haram, it was philanthropic. It was about being God conscious. It's about, you know, evaluating your characteristics. You know, Muslims were recognized for being loyal and honest and all these positive, you know, characteristics that we took pride in. That's what Islam came down to, humble you. But yet we've reduced it to you know, categorize ourselves as people that just follow certain things, and you know, we just want to be identified as Muslims but through our garments, and we just want to, you know, prove to each other that, you know, you're wrong, you're right. It's no argument of wrong or right. In the day, it's your character, and that's why, you know, Allah's going to weigh your deeds. He's not going to count them. Why? Because it's sincerity. Why would it be, you know, there's no, you know, the way I may pray 5 times a day, and someone may struggle to pray 5, but they pray 3 salahs with khushu or with sincerity. They might be in a Jannah above me because of their sincerity. Allah loves that sincerity. I could be just doing it as a robot, just parrot fashion. It's I think people need to kind of realize that, you know, the Islam that they think it's, you know, I'm portraying myself, I go to the mosque all the time, people think I'm amazing, I can speak with so much knowledge. That facade is not going to happen on the Day of Judgment. Have you been treating your family right? Have you been treating your teachers right? Have you been treating the people around you in a rightful way? Those interactions, you're not going to enter Jannah.
And if you upset someone, if you made someone cry.
If you harm someone and you backbite, and Allah's not going to let you enter until you ask their forgiveness. Come on, like, that's the way of it. Like, your destiny is it's with Allah, but it's also with people. It's
Yeah.
because of your interaction.
100%.
So you have to be really careful.
Yeah, I think when you say like conscious, the thing that you were talking about in terms of emotional consciousness is really important in the sense that we don't like to admit that some things, you know, have hurt us, or that, and that can actually lead to bullying.
Yeah.
In an unintentional way. I know I'm sort of going back to my word.
No,
but people can, you know, constantly say one thing, not realizing that they're affecting you. So I can imagine it in the workplace or something. You know, you may have people who aren't as experienced with, let's put it like with an example we all know in terms of Islam. Certain people in the workplace may say certain comments constantly and not realizing that they're affecting you, or you don't like that.
Yeah, of course.
And it is really difficult for you to then in that situation say, I'm really sorry, so and so, that this is not the way you should talk about, you know, maybe my religion, or this is not the way, like, I don't like the comments that you're saying. And I think we don't realize how hard it is, like you're saying, how hard it is to actually say that in a workplace environment, or even among friends. It can be even harder because more difficult because they're your friend and you don't want them to feel, you know, that type of thing. So I guess
definitely.
I can't remember exactly what the point was, but it's more so just
as in, I see
we
where
should
you're
be
coming
more
from. Be aware of what you're saying,
like emotionally conscious as well, and should be more able and open to say our feelings and how it.
I think being more transparent.
Create that environment where it's okay for you to let me know that you didn't like what I said.
Yeah,
and I think when you establish that balance of like where you're at in terms of, you know, your jokiness, how, you know, you speak to each other, because I feel like, for example, here, like our relationship would be different to the way we are, if you understand what I mean. Yeah. So your relationship with one person is not going to be exactly the same with another person. Everyone's friendships are different, their relationships are different, the way we speak to each other, it's all different. You know, you have your group of friends, you'll all share the same jokes, whereas another group will probably look at you and think, like they'll have different opinions. Some people might be offended by what you say, but you know, you might think it's all right. But remember that it's being conscious of everything. You know, be careful those
the
words,
environment that you're in, what you're saying, that type of thing.
I think bullying, especially, is it more common in schools, do you think?
I think it happens everywhere. I think you can't escape it. It can happen.
Is it more prominent in schools or not?
I would say it happens in schools. It probably happens in sixth forms. It happens everywhere.
It's hard to say without obviously statistics. But the thing is, like, it happens. We know it happens.
It happens wherever people are. And there's a group of people.
Because that's the thing. It's in a way, it's human nature, don't you think? Like, you immediately, if you're in that group, especially in the group sort of mentality, when you're in that group, it's very easy to just follow along. And very easy to, because we were talking about it, like, you know, online, it's so easy to put in a comment. In the same thing, if you're in a real life situation, everyone's like laughing, it's easy to join in, but you don't realize what they're laughing at, what the joke is, or how that person is feeling. And so in that sense, I feel like it is quite human nature, because bullying can happen very young as well. If you think about like little kids in like junior school, infant school, like you would never think that they'd say the hurtful things that they say
intentionally,
but it can happen. Like, and I remember from back, like when I was in junior school, certain things did happen, and it's like you think you were so young back then, but it still happened. Why? Well, it like, kind of shows that it is in human nature, but we should try and be more conscious about what's
and I feel
going
like
on.
Sometimes bullying happens in the most you know, not unconventional, that's not the word, you know, it's just the most unexpected people it comes from. So it could be your teachers. I experienced that myself, and I'm that I experienced that not too long ago, actually, when I was in A-levels. So, you know, I think in that sense it's really important to kind of stand up for yourself, and I did stand up for myself. And, you know, even if it backfires, because it backfired on me, you know, let's just say I was not treated right when I was in A-levels, and a certain teacher would bully me, I guess, for wearing hijab and following my religion. He would say very hateful comments, and he would treat me differently because I reported him, blah 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 blah. But the thing is that, you know, the only thing that got me through that was my faith in Allah. I thought, this person is so unjust to me, and he's so unjust to other people, but other people are going by it because they don't want to be bullied by him. I think that's another thing, because, you know, say for example, let me say you're the bully, right? And me and Faiza, sorry, I'm not.
Is that how you see me?
If I said it to Faiza, she would be like, well, so I had to do that.
Yeah.
Sorry, but So say for example, Lamisa is the bully, and you're bullying Faiza, and if I continue, if I don't, like laugh,
yeah.
if I laugh at your comment and I like kind of like show it's okay thing, I won't be a victim. So I'm trying to save myself,
yeah.
but then I'm causing harm to Faiza even more deeply because it's the one person that's doing it and then it's two people doing it. So I think it's also you can't be a bystander when it comes to bullying.
But also, don't you think it makes me feel like it's okay? It's
okay, it's acceptable. So I feel that especially because we're Muslims, there's a saying that stand up to justice even in injustice, even if it's against yourself.
Yeah.
Regardless of what the outcomes is and the repercussions is, because when I was treated badly in sixth form, the teacher that I had, he said to me, even I've been here for 10 years, no one's going to believe you. But then that year, I prayed and prayed, I cried to Allah, and he got kicked out. I'm not trying to say pray to get your teachers kicked out, but I'm just saying that the power of faith is very, very strong.
Yeah.
If you really stand up to injustice and you do it the rightful way, Allah will 100% make a way for you, because not only are you saving yourself, you're saving other people. And I feel that you shouldn't be a bystander when someone is being harmed, and that's how we're supposed to be a community. We're supposed to be people that are supposed to help each other. We're supposed to open. That's why there's a saying that's one part of the body is hurting, the rest of the body is hurting. That's the type of people we're supposed to be.
I think when it comes down to bullying, especially in schools, it's quite heartbreaking because it's younger children, and mentally we don't know what they're thinking and what they're feeling. And I think I don't know if you've had the same, but I know I've had quite a lot of they just don't do well like in the future,
like the attainment,
or even wanting to be happy, go to school. Instead, it's because what happens in my own personal experience, when someone, especially if they're from institutionally, and someone constantly is undermining you, it shatters your confidence. You have nothing, it's nothing left, it's dust. You just feel like you're
you feel so worthless, and you feel you're incapable of doing anything. And if someone's saying something to you, you actually become defensive because you just want to protect yourself. You always are on defensive mode because you're scared someone's going to harm you, or what they're saying is out to harm you. And sometimes it's easier. I think people should be more understanding towards people that have experienced toxicness for such a long period of time, and it's going to affect them. And even you can't just say that happened years ago, forget about it. No, those effects are lasting, and obviously you should take the onus of yourself and try to improve, but at the same time you should your support network should be able to say, actually, she experienced these certain things and we should help her to overcome it, or we should help her to kind of recognize it.
When it comes down to schools though, where do you think the parents play a part in terms of bullying?
I feel like there's okay, I don't want to categorize two types of parents, but there are some parents that they neglect their children in a sense that they don't want to take accountability that their child is bullying. My child wouldn't do that. They literally overlook that their child is capable of doing that.
That's true.
And I think it's really, really...
As in what, for the victim or for the bully?
For the bully. So if, for example, I have a child and I say, no, my child would never do that.
Yeah.
Your child can 100% be capable of bullying. There's no way that you wouldn't be. It's a school environment. You're not there. Yeah. So I think parents should be a little bit more conscious as well of what their child is doing. And, maybe it's an uncharacteristic thing. If your child is an angel at home and then being uncharacteristic at school, then you need to have that conversation with the teacher and saying, at home they're fine, but could you give me a report of how the interactions are there? Because then it gives you an idea. Maybe there's something that the home environment or something that's bothering your child to the point that they have to displace it on another child.
Because that's often the reason for bullying,
especially at a young age.
Because bullies usually have issues of their own, but it enables you to take responsibility for your child. You have to be willing to accept that your child may perhaps do that type of thing.
And I think
it's easy to say that we don't have children, but at the same time, if my little sister did something like that, I think we at home are very conscious in the sense that she will talk to us about things that have gone on. And if we think that wasn't very nice of you to say, we'll let her know that you shouldn't really say things like that, and perhaps you should go in and you should go apologise for what you said. It's important that you or else how are kids like school in that sense are is the place for kids to sort of become accustomed with society and how to get along with people that we generally meet. Because obviously school is a bit different in the sense that initially you're strangers and then you become very close over periods of time, like you end up knowing everyone. But the point is emulating that thing of wider society and being involved in that sense. So that's where they learn all their social skills and learn how to interact with others. And so what they do is when they come back and tell you everything, you need to keep an open ear to hear like what they've been doing over there.
I think it's getting that involvement. Of course, you know, parents work, they're tired, they come home and they just want to kind of, you know, get on with it. But I think it's that, you know, look at your child. Are they behaving differently? Are they behaving like it's something out of character? Because sometimes they might act a certain way at home, but in school they're a completely different person. And I feel like sometimes there is the out of characterness, and you can easily pick up on that. You'll know something's wrong. I mean, it's your child, you know what I mean? It's your brother, it's your sister, it's your relative, your auntie, your friend, you know?
Yeah, but I also want to like draw the point that, you know, some parents, they have no option but to work really hard for survival, you know? The pressure, the financial pressure is extremely hard.
And then I feel like the schools they have a duty.
School has a duty, the family has a duty. So, you know, whenever you can have that conversation with your child, you know, if you're in hardship, Allah's going to obviously put that understanding in your child, because you're you're working for you know, food on the table and a roof over the head. You know, is you're doing it out of your you know, your need. So I feel like, you know, just take that step back. Yeah, take that step back and you know, I feel like when we were younger, we were quite oblivious to a lot of things, but as each generation passes, children are, you know, they're more conscious of everything. They can feel the vibe at home. Yeah. So, you know, when how we talk about financial pressures, and you know, even indirectly they feel it. So why do children ask? Even psychology, my sister said that psychologically, why do children ask how much was that? Because they know there's financial pressure when they receive a gift, or was that expensive? You know, they monetize things because that's what the environment is at the home, and sometimes unavoidable. So
so it's just, you know, being like, you know, just spend a few moments with the child.
Yeah. So my sister was actually saying there was some research that showed that, you know, parents that spend their time with their kids before school and, like, you know, helping them getting ready, because that's the time when they need you the most, and spending 1 hour, and then obviously they go to school and you can go to work, and then collecting them and getting them ready for bed. Those 3 times are the most integral times for a child's development in terms of psychology, because, you know, those are the times where your child would want their parent to be involved. They don't want a nanny, they don't want someone else. And of course, I know,
especially before bed,
those are the most intimate times in a child's development. If you're there, according to psychology, if you're there in those times, you know, your child's development would be more progressive than a child that doesn't have that intimate interaction in those 3 times.
Definitely.
So I think it's, you know, I'm not a parent, but you know, if you can't offer the whole day to a child, at least try to find out what best, you know, time you can give to a child, you know, tailor to their needs.
In terms of schools then, where do you guys think that the duty comes in when it comes to bullying?
I think it's a cooperation between parents and the teachers.
As in schools, teachers, if they see it or hear it, because, you know, they do make snide comments. I'm sure, like, I've been in a classroom when I was, like, in high school and stuff. You do hear comments. I'm sure the teacher hears it, but sometimes it's just brushed off. And I feel like as soon as they hear such comments, it should be picked up on, like, immediately at that point. That person should be told, what are you saying? What are you doing? Do you know what I mean?
It shouldn't be let go of.
Yeah.
I think it's difficult though in schools because they have so many kids to keep an eye on everything. But at the same time, they should try.
Hear things though.
They should try.
100%.
And I think when the school's definitely known about it, they should take care of it seriously. They should handle it seriously.
And I'm sure most schools do. They have procedures and stuff they need to follow through.
I think they legally have to have bullying procedures.
But it's the outcome of that, like, you know, one small remark that you might have kind of brushed off has resulted in a child, like, almost, committing suicide or almost wanting to leave the school, and they don't want to come to school anymore because they have to hear these things repeatedly from so and so bully and this and that, and it's awful. I mean, no one would ever want their brother, sister, child, cousin, relative, friend to go through something like that, and the fact that it's from other children of the same age as well is what makes it worse, because how can a child that age be capable of doing something so
Out of
awful
malice,
and ridiculous?
yeah.
But then again, that's where the home thing comes in as well, because is that a trigger for
Is that child okay?
making them act out? Yeah.
And even if your home life is perfect and you think, everything is perfect at home, maybe your child is suffering mental health issues and you don't know about it. These things are so important.
It's just picking up on the out of characterness as well.
You have to be conscious, just how you deem your child's physical health to be extremely important. You need to also be conscious of your child's mental health as well, because that comes to play in the way they behave.
I think children have to be more open in the sense that they should feel comfortable with letting people know that perhaps something's wrong.
Yeah.
And obviously, if you are suffering bullying or anything like that, there are helplines that are available.
Yeah.
And also, if you're an adult and you're suffering bullying, perhaps in your workplace and things like that, there are also helplines available.
Yeah, and you can speak to someone. It's not something that it should be embarrassing. People go through this and they seem to hide it, and I know it's sad, and sometimes people don't want to talk about it. They don't want to discuss it because they feel embarrassed. But as soon as you open up, you don't, trust me, a lot of people will come out and speak. Like you'll be surprised how many people will agree on certain things. It's shocking. But aside from that, thank you everyone for listening in and tuning in to today's show on bullying. And like Lamisa said, there are helplines and support lines as well available for anyone who is a victim of bullying who wants to report it as well, so please do look that up. But join us next week, inshallah, same time, 6 to 7 on Inspire 105.1 FM. Assalamu alaikum.
Thank you for listening to our podcast. Why not tune in to our live stream at inspirefm.org and follow and subscribe to our social media platforms at Inspire FM Luton.